Welcome to the Be Battle Ready podcast, where we take a deep dive into what it takes to be battle ready in your lifestyle so that you can go to war on your life and the marketplace and win.
All right, so today's topic is, who the fuck are you? Okay? So, if you're offended by profanity, might be in the wrong spot. I grew up with a father that cussed like worse than a sailor. And if you've ever grown up in an Italian-American family, you know how it goes. You know, they're a bunch of ball-busting things. So, and anybody knows me is that, this is at one core me, who I am. So, and how, in the right setting, we'll talk. But here we are. So, you might be like, oh, Anthony, why are you asking me? Why are you putting out this? Well, who the fuck are you? Right? So, in one of my recent podcasts, I just talked about, I mentioned this, who the fuck are you question about, in that podcast, and I had reference to, a question that always came up. Okay. And in that podcast, I really talked about, the commitment to consistency was a big cross for me to bear, and a big, it's something I had to majorly overcome. And the belief in myself, was the other part of that. So, and I mentioned that who the fuck are you, was a question that always popped up. So when did this pop up? Why did it pop up? Let me talk to you about it. So, I started in, as a business, in the business, I was basically pushed into business, given a business, all that shit, probably around 24, 25, right? And it wasn't something that, I was still in college. I was playing rugby. I was doing all this other stuff. And actually, the backstory is a few years earlier, my dad passed away at 20 when I was 20 years old. And that was my sophomore football season, right after my sophomore football season. But halfway through that, I stopped playing. I just couldn't, it was just this emotional thing I needed to be with my dad. And then that kind of ixnayed any opportunity I had moving on. I didn't finish it. I lost the season. I could have fought back. I could have done stuff. But when you lose your father, your whole world's rocked, right? And, it's, I was in counseling a little of years after that. And it's like, look, you've lost your father twice, and at two of the most critical times that it was to teach you how to be a man, from 6 to 10 and in your early 20s. So 20 years old, my football career can be over if I wanted it to, and any aspects of it, my plans for my life to move on, to go to a college and play football were pretty much diminished. I can't say they were done. And backstory to this, I went, I ended up, my coach of mine from football was like, you want to play rugby? I went to play rugby at Cal, fucked that up, and came back. So, so inside of that, a few years later, my mom helped me start a business. When she helped me buy a house, the same year my dad died, with the money my dad left me, and helped me start a business a few years later, what she was doing. So, needless to say, I didn't have to struggle to get there, right? I didn't have to struggle to get the keys to the car or the business or anything like that. That's the fucking God-honest truth. So, and I didn't really have the work ethic and as far as work ethic to fucking do it, right? I spent a little bit of time, I started getting into college into working out good, did all right. But in all, through high school, if it wasn't involved in our workout sessions during our off season or anything like that, like I didn't have the work ethic and I didn't put in the effort to really fucking level myself up even higher. I was good at one thing on the field. It was smacking people or a few things, smacking people in the face and blocking and strategically fucking learning how to fucking outmaneuver you if I'm going to block you. I played fullback. It was simple. I had a job. I got it done. And I could have moved on. But what I'm getting at is I didn't really fucking have the work ethic, right? I wasn't grinding. I wasn't putting my, as much as I could have, right? And I lacked this fucking, foundation of work ethic and accountability. I mean, and if we go back over the course of my life, I mean, my mom was gone a lot working and I was responsible to fucking raise myself at some level, right? Make food for myself, hang out with myself, like fucking, when I'd go home, I'd be home alone. At one point I started taking care of my grandma, because my mom was working and my grandma had dementia. So I tell you this is like give you the backstory and the foundation, because like I got into business and I didn't have the fucking, like, I wasn't a good student. I fucking didn't have very good work ethic. You put me in the right environment, practice field, lifting session with the team. It was good. I had to be on a team. I had to be externally motivated. I was driven. I was ambitious and I was driven, but there was shit that was just broken. So, and I share this with you just to give that foundation. So moving forward, like I got in business, I had these ideas and I had all these ideas. And one of the things is I lacked is that fucking discipline and execution. So then you lack confidence, right? But also inside of that was this question that said, who the fuck are you? Who the fuck are you? Right? Who are you? Who the fuck are you to think that? Who the fuck are you to like think that you can pull that off? Who the fuck are you that, has these big ambitions? Like, what the fuck do you know? This is literally the fucking questions that would pop up in my head, right? Who the fuck are you? And I understand now that I didn't have the discipline, so yeah, who the fuck was I? I didn't have the work ethic, so who the fuck was I? I just had ideas, right? I think it's Gary Vee that said, ideas are shit, execution's everything. And, I was that fucking guy. Ideas were everything. I was the idea guy. You tell me, like, and still to this day, execution isn't my strongest suit. It's one thing I have to improve upon. So, inside of that is, who the fuck are you? And part of it was that I knew subconsciously I didn't have the discipline. I didn't have the execution. I didn't have the commitment. I didn't have the consistent commitment, and I wasn't executing at the level I could, right? Cause I can fucking look back now, man, and you're like, I literally, if I would have executed on the fucking ideas that I had, and it took, I'm not a victim to it or whatever. I didn't have any fucking really believing in my ideas. All I had people was shutting me down. I worked with my mom, my sister. They had different beliefs, different wants. They didn't see shit. I didn't understand why I was seeing this shit and like feeling this shit. And then, I thought I was crazy. I thought like shit that we needed to do in our business that, I was fucking just a dreamer. I was all this other stuff, blah, 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 blah. Like, dude, the fucking stories and the chaos and the fucking like, just, in my own mind, like, I wanted to fucking I think my first time I wanted to start, my idea I had was starting a fucking, video game when I was a kid. And then fast forward to my first business, I wanted to have software. I wanted to create software. And guess what everybody's doing now in the coaching consulting space? Is creating their own software. right? Like, this was 2006, 2007, 2008. Like, I was like, we need software. We need our own custom software, right? And same thing in the gym. Like, I didn't know how to pull it off. And that was the other part of that question of who the fuck are you to do it? Like, I didn't really know how to pull it off. But at the core of it ties in back into that last podcast. And I made a specific podcast about this because I know that so many people are going to fucking suffer, man. Like, that question makes you suffer. You don't know how many years it just was a suffering question where behind it was this lack of belief in yourself. You know? Lack of belief in yourself. And that lack of belief ties into a lack of belief into yourself, like who you're committed to being, your own self-discipline at a higher level. It's a lack of belief into believing into the guidance of your higher self, the guidance of God. And at the end of the day, that's where it ends. That's where it fucking, the core root of it is those. If you're out there and you're having that question, you're having that self-doubt, you're having doubt. Like, I fucking doubt. I'm a doubt fucking monster, dude. Like, I'm a doubt addict. Doubt. And some reason, some way, like that, it helps at times. Like, you know, being able to know what's going to break, you know, be able to see what's going to break. It helps, but it also can fucking be a curse, man. And I understand the pattern to it now. I understand the pattern and the root of it, right? The root of it comes from, look, I didn't believe in myself and I doubted myself. I didn't, you know, I doubted myself, my own human self, and my higher self and God because of the fucking bullshit, you know, the loss of my dad twice, if you get that, right? You know, not having my dad growing up, you know, not having, you know, a full stable home, having other shit when I was a kid happen, you know, feeling abandoned, feeling all this other stuff. So I was, you know, at the root of that, you know, abandonment from your parents, from people around you, abandonment from people you trust when you're young, relates to feeling abandoned by your creator. And look, I share this with you because like, look, if I would have been able to and walk through this and been aware of this sooner, right? Like, I can just imagine how much like, how much fucking pain I could have saved. And honestly, I don't want to go back and change it because it's made me who I am today. It's allowed that fucking like warrior within. Like, look, now be straight on a little side tangent. Look, I've been involved with Wake Up, you know, as far as their programs and content and all that stuff for a while. And they've had, you know, Garrett and his programs have had a lot of influence on me. But one of the things about that thing, warrior, is that goes back to my high school football team. We used to fucking chant that before we go into games. Our coach would get us fucking ramped up, and we would just fucking scream warriors and go into it. And every time, you know what I mean? He used to talk to us in that manner of being a warrior. You know, talking about warrior faces adversity and all that. So, look, I'm, you know, authentically, I'm telling you that because, look, a lot of way I'm I live and I'm doing stuff is heavily influenced by Wake Up Warrior. And that's for another podcast about the submission stuff. And this doubt connects back to this doubt. So I want to wrap this up and start rewinding this down is that, if you're having that question pop up in your mind, I'm like, who the fuck are you? Like, who the fuck are you? I want you to know that it is a tell. It's not just a trigger, right? It's not a result of a trigger. It's not just a result of a trigger. It's a tell. It's a tell of, you need to dive into the deepest core of yourself and figure out why that question is there. And why aren't you believing in yourself, right? It's tied to a fundamental lack of belief in yourself, a lack of belief in your higher self, a lack of belief in your creator. So take some time and dig into it. And I'm going to let you know it's not going to be an easy, pleasant experience. But on the other side of that, you're going to be the motherfucker you've always, you're going to be the motherfucker you were born to be. Right? And inside of that, and that's the gateway to who you want to become. I want to wrap that up. I think I'm going to come back with you about, how this ties into be willing to submit. And I think I'm going to redo success is in submission. So, look, if there's anything I do to support you, go ahead and reach out. Facebook would be the best way. Hit me up, say what's up. If you need any support on this, if you need any perspective on this, or you're doing that, I would love to hear where you're at with it. I'd love to hear your story. Maybe I can provide some context. Maybe I can provide something for you. Because I know I knew decades ago, I knew there was a way to operate as a human being. I knew I had this feeling there was a way that I needed to learn how to operate, that successful people they were operating as an individual. And I knew that part of that was being connected with a group of other men, just some root down deep. I don't know how far that goes back. I think the earliest when I was 20, as far as I remember now. So, look, I'm not a guru or anything like that. I'm just a guy that, likes helping people out. Like sharing my story so that people who are struggling with the same shit can, get some value and collapse that shit. So, I look back at man, what if I heard this story years ago? Would I be open to it? Maybe not. But what if I was? What if I would have known? What if someone could have been there, and said, hey, this is what's happening? Well, it could have been possible. All right, so that's it for today, and I look forward to supporting you, and I'll talk to you soon.
This concludes another episode of the Be Battle Ready podcast. If you're looking to put it all together across all the areas of your life and be battle ready, come get connected with powerful leaders in our Be Battle Ready Facebook group, where we will be dropping new battles to win each day.